overtime expires.
Wait a minute.
It's all means tested. But the tax breaks for the rich, the tax breaks for the rich, those are permanent.
You mean the people that work like hell to become wealthy?
The group that gets rewarded
$500,000 homes to sell their properties.
But we got a communist coming in that doesn't want to.
You don't even know the word communist if that's what you
It's going to be a lot more. How many cookies do you want from this administration?
Don't you ever try and get rich in America again.
Oh my God. Imagine thinking the rich in America are the victims.
What Anna's punish success in America.
I'm not talking about punishing success. I'm talking about helping. If you want to help ordinary people, you said you were the help.
Just make sure the people who are successful get punished in America.
I'm trying to have a serious conversation.
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this segment. I'm so sick of this idiot Kevin O'Leary. Canada, this isn't right. I know Trump is a prick to you guys, but come on. You're not sending your best. Canada isn't sending their best. Let's check this out and we'll talk about it.
Tonight, as Trump's approval numbers drop, his giveaway goodie bag is getting heavier.
To follow up on the housing question, we've got no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. How important is it we have no tax on home sales, capital gains, to unleash the housing market in this country?
Well, we're thinking about that, but would also unleash it just by lowering the interest rates. If the Fed would lower the rates, we wouldn't even have to do that. But we are thinking about no tax on capital gains on houses.
Trump was asked that layup of a question by none other than Brian Glenn, a reporter for Real America's Voice Network and one of the new media voices in the White House press pool. Should also be noted, Glenn is in a relationship with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who introduced a bill that would do just that, eliminate federal capital gains tax on home sales earlier this month. As with...
Ugh, what are you thinking? Somebody's dating that creature? Oh.
All those things that Trump listed out, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. The devil is in the details, and it's not really what he is saying. And this is just another thing added to a whole bunch of promises that he's making to the American people that, by the way, is not being paid for.
Well, I'm an old flat tax guy. Broaden the base, lower the rates as much as possible. But I will say this, the one thing probably everybody at this table can agree on is we do have a housing problem in this country. And we need, especially for people, like I have two sons that are in their early 30s. That's about the time when people start talking about buying a house. They can't afford a house right now. Housing is so expensive. So this is one way you could maybe make housing more affordable, encourage older people to sell out. By the way, what I would do is I would index capital gains for inflation. Somebody who bought a house in the 70s for $100,000, that house is probably worth, what, Kevin, $500,000 today. And most of that gain was just due to inflation. So we want to encourage, as we were talking about earlier, encourage people to sell their homes as they get older and free up housing for younger people who can't raise a family. You can't.
This is also just Trump promising things to promise things.
This is adopted in many countries. Many countries in Europe, Canada, for example, primary residence, you get married, you're in your late 20s, you buy 950 square feet. Then you have a child, you need 2,000 square feet. That lets them trade up, cap gains free, and they keep moving up as owners, which is the American dream in America.
Just the context for those who are keeping score, there is already an exemption. It's $250,000 for individuals. It's $500,000 for $500,000 for couples, which covers 90% of Americans.
So
however, I do think that Stephen. No.
Let's make sure the people who are successful get punished in America.
I'm trying to have a serious conversation.
Well, I'm being very serious.
You don't think the rich have gotten enough raise from this administration? No tax on tips expires. No tax on overtime expires.
Wait a minute.
It's all means tested. But the tax breaks for the rich, the tax breaks for the rich, those are permanent.
You mean the people that work like hell to become wealthy?
The group that gets rewarded the most in this country are the rich. And you're talking about they're not punished. You guys are doing real well. You talk about it on this show on a regular basis, okay?
I want to beat them up.
How many cookies do you want from this administration?
Don't you ever try and get rich in America again.
Oh my God. Imagine thinking the rich in America are the victims.
What Anna's talking about, I think.
I disagree with Anna on a couple issues, but when she's on, she's on. Yeah, how many cookies do you want? I need to show you guys something, and I need to start showing more charts in general, because nothing I could say would make it more simple than this. Let's check this out. So let's take a look at this chart here. This is from the Aspen Institute. 2022? It's gotten way worse since then. 70% of the wealth in this country is owned by the top 10%. 90%, right? If you add up the other two bars, only have 30% to share, of which the bottom 50% in this country have less than 3%. Oh, what a surprise. We have homelessness crisis. How the F did that happen, I wonder? If you wonder why you can't afford a house or start a business or just have a little financial cushion, this image makes it crystal clear. But hey, a tax break for the rich that Trump just signed, that's what we need. I have a couple more charts. Let's get to those. I look at this chart. This one is very simple to understand too. Look at 1980 from 2010, which again is gotten way worse. Republicans, conservatives, how the F do you think this happened? Do you think that all of a sudden they just became so much smarter than everyone else after the 80s? They just started working 3 times as harder as everyone else. Get your head out of rich people's ass and take a look at these charts. It's not that hard to understand. A 4-year-old can understand what's happening here. We're getting screwed. Check out this next chart. As you can see here, very simple chart again. It's not just a US problem. This is a global issue. It's mimicking the numbers. 76%. If the world was made up of 10 people, 76% of the wealth would go to one person. In what world does that make any sense? No one's asking to punish or harm the super rich, but just to pay their fair rate. As they make more money, they should pay a higher tax rate, not a lower one. I've mentioned this 1,000 times. The 400 richest families in this country paid an average tax rate of 8%. How is that fair when we're paying in the high 20s, 30s? Like, it's incredible. But let's get back to the segment, because I want you to have this context while you hear this asshole, Kevin O'Leary, talk about this whole segment.
I think is worthy of bringing to the table, because the promises that are being made to the working class, no tax on tips, it's capped out at $25,000 a year, no tax on overtime, capped out at $12,500 a year, no tax on Social Security, not at all what is actually in the bill. It only applies to about half of Americans, and the maximum annual deduction is $6,000. So it seems like for the working class people, there is a limit to how much the government is going to work for them. No limit, though, for the wealthy.
Wait a minute. I'm glad you brought that up, because you just listed off 3 different benefits for working class Americans, and every Democrat in Congress voted against them. Every one of them. Okay. Every single one of them.
What about the promises that Trump is making to working class Americans and the degree to which it's a headline, but the details are not what he promised?
They're all real tax cuts, and they will need to be extended at a future date. But they're all real tax cuts. They're all real tax cuts. But we should not let them be temporary. We should hopefully Democrats will help us extend them.
But you passed the bill by yourself, and you made the permanent the tax cuts for the wealthy, but you couldn't take the time to make permanent the tax cuts that actually benefit.
No, they're tax cuts for everyone. They're for everyone.
No, these tax cuts. Wait
a minute. Let's clear that up. If you have a child, your child tax credit was going to be cut in half without this bill. Your standard deduction was going to be cut in half without this bill. Those are working class tax preferences.
No, the point that Abby is making, and the point that Anna was making earlier, is that when you're talking about creating policy that's supposed to be representative of working class people, Kevin said he was a representative of working class people in the Midwest a few minutes earlier. Now he's suddenly the representative of the wealthy. You know, pick a lane, Kevin. Which side are you on? Because it's not very clear to me. This plan doesn't help ordinary homeowners. It helps people. If you have an ordinary home in the Hamptons, maybe it helps you, but it doesn't help ordinary homeowners. And I agree with Stephen, if you're going to do this, and I agree with the idea that Stephen's pointing out, that we should be helping older people to leave the housing market and get younger people into it. But if you're going to do it, as Abby was saying during the break, we were talking about this, why don't we do it so that we actually target it for older people, not just for everyone? That would make more sense.
As I was trying to say to Kevin, I mean, I think there's a real conversation here about what you're talking about, which is the inflation aspect of it. This hasn't changed since the mid-90s, so that's a fair argument. It's also a fair argument that it can be structured in a way that allows older people who've paid off their homes, they've had it for 30, 40 years, to not pay capital gains tax. But it's also not, I think it's just, we should understand, it's not true that most Americans are not getting taxed on selling their primary residence. The vast majority of Americans are not.
Only 8% of homeowners does this apply to. You're benefiting the top 8%, Kevin. That's who you represent.
It's an artificial cap on the growth and the value of your home.
Only 8% of homeowners benefit from this. So this is not about helping the working class. It's about helping the wealthy.
In 200 years, we've never punished success in America.
I'm not talking about punishing success.
I'm
talking about helping If you want to help ordinary people, you said you were you wanted to be the representative of the working class people. Why not? Why not? Let's build more affordable housing. Let's invest in creating opportunities for people to become first-time homeowners. Not just for the people who have $500,000 and $1 million homes to sell their properties.
But we got a communist coming in that doesn't want me to
You don't even know the word communist if that's what you think.
There's going to be a lot more communists trying to come in if we keep going in the direction
Much more
we're
of this
going
discussion.
And he makes his argument, oh, we work hard. What? Is everyone else lazy? Like, just hear the words that this asshole uses. Again, I've said this before, but how the tax rate starts at 11K and then the tax rate just stops going up after 600K. Why? I wonder why that happens. Why don't we have tax rates for people who make $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $10 billion? Does that make any sense? You make 600K a year, which is a lot, right? If you make 60K, that's 600K. I mean, that's a lot. But if someone made 60 billion that year, they pay the same percentage tax rate. How does that make sense? And in fact, it would help the economy if we could lower taxes for everyone else other than the rich and increase theirs. For obvious reasons. Because everyday people would actually boost the economy by actually spending money on necessities, clothes, food, everything. The Democrats need to use this as a message. It's unpatriotic for the super rich to not want to pay their fair share. They're thieves. They're parasites. They're just hoarding it and just putting their money in investments and hoarding and accumulating more and more and buying what? More houses? Buying houses in other countries? Luxury bullshit? Seriously, a country of this kind of wealth? I showed you those charts. But people can't pay their rent, bills, without going into debt, one injury away from financial ruin. Think about the insanity in that. In what world does it make sense to give these people a tax break? Rip the benefits off lower income people. And it's not just a people thing. This kind of wealth allows companies to have every employee by the balls, essentially, and can ruin your life at the moment. No one has enough. Half the country doesn't have, what is it, $500 in savings. Companies know this. They can underpay employees, CEOs making tens, in some cases hundreds of millions of dollars, while employees have to take multiple jobs to get by. How does that make sense in the richest country in the world? I don't think many people would argue if this system works. But the reason you have people wanting socialism, which I'm okay with, because there is socialism already. There's socialism for the rich. It's called tax breaks, tax evasion laws that allow them not to pay their fair share, and we have to pick up the slack for them. There's already socialism going on. It's just benefiting the super rich. And like, think about it. People like Elon Musk are able to accumulate so much wealth. He donated $250 million to his boo, Trump. And he essentially became president for 4 months or something. Having investigations into him shut down, running around with a chainsaw, laughing, cutting everyday people's jobs. They're literally rubbing it in our face. The amount of money that they have stolen by not paying their fair share. That should be the Democrat message on top of the Epstein thing. Do not get off the Epstein thing and how this party is the party of child abuser excuses, especially when they try to bring up family values, Christian values, any of these stupid nonsense values that they act like they care about. But that's enough of my rant, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps get the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.